This is the story of an orphanage boy, let's say a jobless man in his 30s, living his life miserably, playing games all day, with no hope for a better future, until he received a message from an unknown, asking if he wished for a second life, which he chose. Now let's dive into the life of our protagonist. Would he be a simp or a smartass? Sit, relax, and enjoy. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts about this story. The story begins in a room, soda cans littered everywhere, our protagonist sitting in front of a PC, his mouse dancing, his eyes dark, obvious he hasn't had a good sleep. While playing a game, he got a message from someone named General Goddog. He asked our protagonist if he wants a second chance in life. Our protagonist, who saw the message, murmured out that it seems like someone else is going through the same miserable hell as him. But then, he took a pause, wondering when did the person even write the message. He relaxed on his chair, thinking about the second life message, saying to himself that it would be really nice if it was real. He thought about being given a second life again. It was quite tempting because his life could be summed up in 3 sentences. He was raised in an orphanage with no parents. After leaving the orphanage, he worked in a factory. Now, at the age of 30, he does part-time jobs while preparing for the civil service exam. That's how his life has been so far. The only joy in his life was the game titled God-Forsaken World, a world forsaken by God. He has played it for over a decade, and he has become a seasoned veteran who knows every single strategy. In his 30 years of life, all he has got is the one-room apartment and the game. He wondered if things would have been different for him if there were strategy guides for life. He got another message from the same person, asking him again if he's up for a second life. Our protagonist smirked slightly, saying the guy sending the message looks like he got nothing better to do. But since he's no better, he decided to just chat with Goddog for a bit. He typed a reply, saying they should do the second life then. Goddog asked if he's sure about it won't be easy. Our protagonist was kinda irritated since the guy was acting all serious while typing nonsense. He deemed the situation to be getting boring, so he wondered if he should just ignore him. He thought for a moment, then typed in a message saying anything is better than what he has now. Goddog went speechless for a moment, then replied, "Sounds good." Our protagonist was kinda disappointed that the text just ended like that. He was expecting a drama, a mysterious feel. He commented, "After all that nonsense, this is all it was." But then, he heard a voice from his game speaker. "Nonsense, you say?" Our protagonist was shocked. He couldn't believe he's hearing someone speak from the game. The voice told him in some kind of distorted tone he should try and survive this time. Then his body glowed, and swoosh, he disappeared, leaving his earpiece behind. For a moment, everywhere went dark. He wondered what's going on, what's that on his face? He struggled, but he couldn't move. He realized his hands are also tied. So he wondered if he has been kidnapped, but he had no idea when it happened. He took a pause. Why him of all people? He wondered again if it could be for his organs. He struggled. In front of him were cloaked men. One of them took off the cover from his face. The man, who seemed to be the leader, called our protagonist third prince of the Vault Magic Empire, Gilroshan Elro de Vault. Our protagonist, whose mouth was tied, had no idea what was going on. The leader told his men to remove his gag, which they did. The leader knelt, told our protagonist to raise his head. He should open his eyes and look at him. Our protagonist was surprised. The words from the leader sounded familiar. After examining him, the leader commented, saying that our protagonist's face matches the description. Our protagonist's face went pale with surprise as he realized that this is the exact one moment on God-Forsaken World. The third Prince assassination event. It felt like a dream to him. He wondered if he has ever had a dream as real as this before, since it feels oddly familiar. The leader told him he better not try anything funny. Our protagonist wondered why the hell is the guy calling him that, or is it some kind of prank by a fanatic of God-Forsaken World? The leader turned around, told our protagonist that he would be executed today in the name of the Republic, and his head will be sent to his father. Our protagonist had no idea what he meant, then told the leader to wait. There must be some kind of misunderstanding here. But the leader raised his sword and swung it at our protagonist's neck, telling him for the second time not to try anything foolish. Our protagonist stood still. He could feel the blood dripping from his neck. The leader, eyes devoid of emotion, told our protagonist that even if he's just a scoundrel prince, he still carries imperial blood. So once the emperor sees his decapitated body, he won't be able to just laugh it off. Fear-driven, our protagonist realized that this isn't some sick prank, it's real. He's the trash-tier third prince Gilroshan Elro de Vault, the third prince of the Magic Empire, also known as the Pig Prince. He is a prince who has fallen out of the succession race for being lazy and behaving strangely. Our protagonist gritted his teeth worriedly, saying to himself that Gilrashan is an absolute bottom-tier noble with barely any lines. He's just a background extra NPC, and today is the end of the line for him. He took a pause, he looked around, he wondered who's the player if he's the NPC. The guy he was looking at turned his face away, then the leader asked the third prince if he has any last words while pointing his sword at him. Gilrashan stuttered in fear, telling the leader that he doesn't know what's going on here, but he's not the third prince. The leader told Gilrashan not to expect him to believe what he's saying since his glowing red eyes is enough proof that he's the third prince, so he should not try to deny it since there's no escape. Gilrashan drowned in fear, wondering how is this even real. He's not even the protagonist. Instead, he possessed the body of a background extra, and now he's about to be executed. He murmured as his body shivers, "What kind of cruel joke is this?" The leader raised his sword to swing, told Gilrashan that it's nothing personal, he'll make it quick and painless, then bid himself farewell. He swung with complete precision to pluck our protagonist's head with one strike. Our protagonist closed his eyes, squeezing his face to brace for impact, saying to himself that he can't die like this. There's something he absolutely has to accomplish, which we know was nothing. He himself didn't even know what it was. But then, everywhere went still. Time paused. Gilrashan opened his eyes slightly, wondering why the strike doesn't hurt. What's more, he had no idea why the leader stopped, nor what the hell was going on. He then got a system message informing him that the game has begun. The player has selected the Vault Empire character, Gilrashan Elro de Vault. Tears of joy dripped down Gilrashan's face, as he realized that he's safe and he can survive as a player since the world is from the game godforsaken world he was obsessed with, and he's a master of the game. He grinned happily because basically, he's not different from a walking strategy guide. Another message appeared, informing him that his starting reward has been granted. He has received 3 stat points and 2 skill points. He also received the quest titled Escape Crisis. Gilrashan said to himself that the stat points are used for improving his abilities, and skill points to let him learn techniques. The quest is probably the obvious objective, to survive. Everything has stopped as if he hit the pause button, but he can only move to the extent the situation allows. Cold sweat ran down his body. He realized it's just like the game. He's given a bit of time to make a choice, which means he'll return to the moment he was about to be killed. He decided to deal with the points and quest later. What matters now was the message in front of him. It would determine whether he lives or dies. The message, the selection of the fate card has begun. The player should please choose the fate of his character. Fate cards are class-defining cards that give unique stats, abilities, gear, and storylines. You are dealt 3 random cards from a pool of 1,024 cards, and you must choose one since the number of cards that can be absorbed is 1. The cards began shuffling. Gilrashan knew that choosing the right card requires skill, but which card appears is pure luck. You won't get another card shuffle until level 10, unless it's a quest reward. Now, everything depends on this one card. He looked up to see what Lady Luck says. The cards finished shuffling. 3 cards appeared in front of him. Once he chooses, time will resume again. Depending on his luck or choice, he could literally get beheaded like tofu as soon as the game resumes. It was a spine-chilling situation. He exhaled. That aside, the cards have been dealt, it's time to take a look. He raised his tied hands to take the cards. Even in this situation, he's curious, but it's something he can't help with. He grinned, ready to see if the card would lead him to glory, a pile of crap, or would lead him to a cliff edge. In godforsaken world, there's a first shuffle rule that only some know of. That is, one of the 3 cards always includes a close combat card that ensures at least one reliable play. Furthermore, the average rank of those 3 cards is B. So Gilrashan decided to go for something simple, a decent A-rank tank. Honestly, he asked himself if he's not asking for anything crazy. He clicked the first card, but what came out was an F-rank fate card, titled Slave Gladiator. He was shocked, he couldn't believe his eyes. He went for the second card, which was another failure. A D-rank fate card, titled Third-Rate Theater Actor. He was utterly speechless and shocked. He had no idea what was going on because in the first draw, the average rank of the cards is B. That means the last card could be S rank, he wondered. The smile on his face was obvious as he thought the card would probably be S rank. He then chose the card, it glowed. Then an outburst of colors. He protected his eyes from the light flashes, and as he looked, he was surprised to see that it was an X-ranked card, and an archmage at that. He was surprised and happy. He had no idea what was going on. Since X is the highest rank, it's really hard to get. Even he has never received an X rank at the very start of a playthrough. Talking about the Archmage card, it's essentially the ultimate range DPS card. So he wondered how could it possibly appear at the beginning. He questioned, maybe it's because he's not a player character but an NPC. He deemed it to be possible since the body his consciousness is in right now belongs to an NPC named Gilrushan Vault. They call him the good-for-nothing prince, but unlike a custom player-made character, he has a background bloodline as a key figure. What's more, the Vlad Imperial family in the original story is known for having produced exceptionally talented mages. That aside, now it's time to choose. The one thing is, there is a card among those three that can save his life. He gritted his teeth disappointedly because the damn problem is that the card that can save his life is not the Archmage card. One might think X rank card is the best. Sure, the card comes with bonus stats, unique skills, exclusive equipment, and a storyline. But the only thing he can actually use right away is 3 unique skills per card. Even among the Archmage's skills, there's a defensive one called Field Domination, but its effect only applies to magic or magic-imbued weapons. And more importantly, all magic skills require time to draw mana from the circle around the heart and materialize the spell. But still, no one in their right mind would give up an X-rank card like that. He was quite hesitant at first. He then exhaled, said to himself that if he weren't a seasoned player, he probably would have picked the Archmage and lost his head. Also, if this were a game, he'd have respawned after dying once, but this is different. An NPC that dies in the game doesn't come back, so if his head got cut off, that's it. He'll die for real. And he can feel the cold blade on his neck, which clearly shows that this is reality. He said to himself, unbelievable. Whoever brought him into this world, he doesn't know their motive was. But not only did they stick him into the body of an extra, they made him a player just before his head was about to get chopped off, and they threw him an Archmage card like some kind of cruel joke. He then picked the F-rank Slave Gladiator card, determined to survive the predicament he's in. His expression darkened. He then let out a depressed laughter. He never expected there would be a day that he would throw away an X-rank for a trash-rank card. He laughed out subtly as he deemed the situation to be very interesting. He then wished the Archmage card goodbye. They should meet again. Now, back to the card he chose. He got a message that he has obtained 3 unique skills exclusive to the Slave Gladiator. Pissed, he asked the system if it's mocking him. He already has his fair share of luck thanks to him. Gilrushan knew that if you draw a junk character, the only answer is re-rolling, but in this case he has got no way to re-roll. In the original game, the third prince died bleeding out. But now that he's in the body, he was determined to survive. He took a pause, wondering how to use the skills. Immediately, the system resumed the game. Then swoosh. The leader's sword swung at his head before he could even react. Gilrushan's body immediately went to the ground. The leader turned around and told his men, great job. They'll all return as quickly as possible starting now. They should follow the planned route through the Lockman Mountain Gate. But then, someone told the leader that the third prince isn't dead. The leader was surprised. He told the guy that can't be possible since his head was chopped off. Gilrushan held his neck, shivering all over, shocked. As he tried catching his breath, he said to himself that it's fortunate he figured out how to use the skills naturally. But damn, it felt awful. He got a message that a skill has been used successfully and it cannot be used again for 24 hours. The 3 skills of Slave Gladiator are preference for masochism, preference for sadism, and preference for restraint. As for the first skill, when the user takes non-lethal damage and no follow-up damage is received, mental and physical regeneration are greatly increased. It has a cooldown of 15 minutes. For the second skill, it performs a flashy move that causes a dramatic bleeding effect, but only deals minor damage, 15 minutes cooldown. The reason Gilrushan picked the trash rank card over the X rank is because of the third skill it has, which is the preference for restraint. When bound or immobilized, you can ignore 1 instance of fatal damage. It has a 24-hour cooldown. It's a notorious card among players who enjoy perverse playstyles. At first glance, the skills seem useful, but each one has a drawback. The main issue would be that there's never a good opportunity to use them. That's why it's F rank. And if they were to come at him again, he won't have another way out, so he decided to move fast. The leader, surprised, asked the third prince, how is his head still attached? Though he doesn't know what he did, but he won't be able to escape. Gilrushan immediately interrupted him. Impudence, Bamilo di Mark, he shouted with vigor. Everyone there was shocked and speechless, even the mysterious guy behind. The leader asked the third prince if he has lost his mind. No, more importantly, how did he even know his name? Gilrushan continued, you insolent fool. He pointed his hand at the leader, saying, do you not recognize your master who is dwelling in this body? It is I, your master. I am the god of vengeance. Elam. They were all surprised by his words. Gilrashan knew that the men are priests of the Elam High Church's Vengeance Priest Corps, and ironically, assassins as well. The Elam High Church is one of the 3 major factions in the game belonging to the Revolutionary Army. They're a group seeking to overthrow the Empire. Naturally, they've kidnapped the Empire's 3rd prince, so if he wants to survive, he has to act like he just drew the 3rd-rate theater actor card, even more than that. Confident and extremely serious, he told them that he is Elam. I have descended into this body, you fools. He jumped up, saying their god is here, so they should release him this instant. The leader, still cautious, asked if he's really Elam's vessel. Gilrashan shouted, "Impudence!" He clapped the leader's cheek. "How dare you point at the body I inhabit? Have you lost your mind? You bastard dare raise your hands at me?" Seeing their reactions, Gilrashan wondered if he had gone overboard. But he decided not to waver because what he's doing is what Elam would do. There are 12 gods in God-forsaken world, and most of them, meddlesome as they are, love to interfere in worldly affairs. As a result, both major and minor incidents caused by divine intervention happen regularly. When the game first launched, many players thought Elam was just a poorly named god, but among them, Elam, the god of vengeance, befitting of the god in charge of vengeance, thrives on war, conflict, strife, and chaos, which is why he often shows himself to his followers, and that works to Gilrashan's advantage, at least for now. The leader spoke out, saying he understands. Great Elam. Still, he should at least offer a sign of faith to his foolish believers. "Faith, you say?" Gilrashan commented with vigor while pointing at the leader. "You dare say you need faith? Fine, I'll give you believers' faith." He told the leader that last week, he offered a golden statue to his altar. Does he think he wouldn't notice it was mere gold-plated? The leader was surprised. How did Gilrashan come to know of that? Gilrashan still acting. "Don't you think I wouldn't notice that pathetic prank? Why the hell would you offer me gold-plated? Do you all have a death wish? You damn fools, release me this instant." The leader immediately told his men to release him. The men immediately apologized to Gilrashan. Gilrashan calmed down since it looks like most of them have fallen for his act, which is not that surprising. No one would believe the incompetent 3rd Prince Gilrashan could pull such a feat. Though the old man Bamilo still seems suspicious. Bamilo is a high archpriest of the Elam High Church, known in the Revolutionary as the orchestrator behind the 3rd Prince assassination incident. Bamilo bowed, apologized to Lord Elam for failing to recognize him. Gilrashan knew Bamilo is thinking right now. Let's just observe for now. Gilrashan asked him if that's all he has to say. Confident, he told them all to go on their knees. They immediately went on their knees, begging for forgiveness. While on his knees, Bamilo told Gilrashan that to behold him is an honor they do not deserve. However, he asked why did he descend himself instead of sending an oracle to the high priest. Gilrashan said to himself that Bamilo is really sharp, he still doesn't trust him, and there's another one too. He had no idea who the guy is at the back, it's driving him insane, so he decided he needs a more secure failsafe. He then crouched to Bamilo, telling him that Prince Gilrashan shall become his personally chosen apostle, so no one is to lay a finger on him. Bamilo was surprised by his words. His expression is like he just swallowed shit. Well, he can't be blamed. They're about to lose the high-value target they went through so much trouble to get. Our protagonist then told Bamilo with confidence that Prince Gilrashan of the Empire will someday join their revolutionary army. Bamilo replied understood. They shall spare the 3rd prince and return as per his will. Gilrashan knows that if they return now, they'll confirm the truth through the high priest, and they'll come back for him. That look in Bamilo's eyes says they're confident they could kill him anytime they want, which shows that there must be another traitor. Someone behind the scenes of the conspiracy, because there's no way someone from an imperial bloodline, even if they're good for nothing, would be left to die just like that. Unless both sides were in on it. On top of that, too many people want Gilrashan dead, so the Empire is a prison to him, a closed cage with no escape. Gilrashan grinned, told Bamilo that what he's about to say must be kept a secret. The 3rd prince will not return to the imperial capital. He will go to Orax. He'll soon become an apostle, so he must prepare, and while en route to Orax, he should ensure the child's safety. Not just that. He shouldn't just protect him, he should treat him with utmost care. Bamilo was dumbfounded. Orax is the largest city in the west, and the capital of the Revolutionary Army. It's enemy territory to the Empire, but knowing the event to come, Gilrashan deemed it to be safer there. And in Orax, the more you know, the more you can gain. He grinned as he said to himself, too bad he'd let the Archmage card go. There are still plenty of ways to cheat his way through. He turned around to leave, calling the rest to stop kneeling. They should get going. He grinned wildly, saying to himself, in order to turn this trash rank into an overpowered character, He has got to scam everything in sight. Sometime later, somewhere in the woods, they camped after walking for some while. Bamilo's men all brought different kinds of meals to give to Gilrashan, each dragging that theirs is more better. Gilrashan pulled back, turning down their meals. He told them that someone's gonna get stabbed here, so they should stop shoving the sharp stuff in his face. In addition, he told them he's trying to lose weight. At least they should know what weight loss meant. They all insisted, saying with innocent eyes that Lord Eolam instructed them to treat him with the utmost respect. If they don't, they won't be able to face Lord Eolam. Seeing their eagerness, Gilrashan wondered if he had said too much for it to have so much impact on them. Seeing their innocent eyes, he questioned if this is the vengeful priesthood or the vengeful boy band. There is no way such a gaze is that of an assassin. While drooling, he told them to please stop. He wants to eat too, but he's holding back. They still insisted. Just one bite. If it tastes good, he won't gain weight. Someone added, saying Gilrashan doesn't need to lose more weight. His figure was perfect from the start, so he should eat whatever he wants. Gilrashan told the guy he's quite the liar. Though the weight loss is one thing, but seeing such meals and not eating them is torture. Then Bamilo arrived behind them. With a domineering tone, he asked them what are they doing without even setting up a parameter. They're all too relaxed. Have they forgotten they're still in Imperial territory? They should get up now. Bamilo sat down. He told Gilrashan that they're all just deeply faithful, so he should not think badly of them. He then stretched out a chicken thigh to Gilrashan, saying when it comes to meat, it's always bird meat. I'm joking, he remarked. I brought this to eat myself. Gilrashan sighed, calling Bamilo the worst. A few minutes later, he finished eating the chicken and threw the bone into the fire, then commented, telling Gilrashan that he has lost a lot of weight, to lose so much weight in just 3 days. Gilrashan replied, he didn't expect to lose so much weight either, he murmured. Did the story writer change? Bamilo added, saying he has seen all sorts of people, having been raised as an assassin in the church, but he has never seen anyone as tenacious as Gilrashan. Gilrashan told him with a little smile that at first he wondered how he'd get through the Imperial territory, then said to himself that even he could tell Gilrashan's condition wasn't normal. Going back some moments ago, while they were walking in the woods, at that time Gilrashan hadn't lost weight. He fell on his knees, breathing heavily. He wondered what kind of body is this anyway? He can't get up. Looking at his character information, his stamina is only 9, a single digit. He was surprised himself because the average NPC's overall stats are around 200, with stamina between 40 to 60, so stamina being 9 means he's practically a corpse. That's when he decided to raise his stamina somehow and lose some weight. At that time, one of the assassins told Bamilo about Gilrashan's situation. He told Bamilo that the situation is really serious. At this rate, they'll also be in danger. But Lord Eolam gave them instructions. They can't just abandon him, so he asked if they should use a potion. Gilrashan worriedly gritted his teeth. He doesn't want to take the potions because if things go south, the vengeful spirit might have to fight in his stead. Anyway, the feeling of being a burden to someone really sucks. He then smashed his head on the ground, then told them all with determination that there's no need for potions, they should get going. They were all surprised by his action, even Bamilo. His skill, taste for masochism, got activated, and the skill's effect will apply for 30 seconds. If non-critical damage is taken with no subsequent damage, mental and physical recovery is greatly increased. As they walked, Gilrashan said to himself that abnormally low stat points can be quickly improved through training without investing points. So if he's just going to be a burden, he decided to smash his head in a few things. He did it multiple times, which completely shocked the assassins. They were surprised at how tough he is. It was unlike him. Then Gilrashan got a message that as a result of his harsh training, his stamina has improved to 37. He deemed it as just the beginning. He still has a long way to go. Bamilo told Gilrashan that by tomorrow, they should reach the teleport gate they'll use to return to Aurochs. However, he went speechless for a moment. There's a problem. They originally came to kill him, not to take him back alive. No one expected him to become Lord Eolam's apostle. He then went speechless again. They both looked at each other. Gilrashan told him, he knows there's an accomplice inside, so he should speak freely. Bamilo was surprised he knew, then told him that they were supposed to leave a corpse as proof and a result, but they couldn't. And since the third prince hasn't returned, they must think there's a problem with their cooperation. Furthermore, since they know who they are, it's not hard for them to predict their escape route, so the gate must already be blocked. But they're the vengeful priesthood, the elite of the revolutionary army. They can break through, but being attacked from both front and back would be a difficult situation, so... He paused for a moment. It's already tough, but it seems they need to pick up pace even more. By the way, he added, telling Gilrashan that he's surprised he knew there was an accomplice inside. Does he happen to know who it is? Gil Roshan replied, yes, it is the Imperial Minister of the Interior, Viscount Zyrek Moss. Bamilo asked if there's any reason why he thinks the Viscount is the accomplice. Gil Roshan deemed the question to be unexpected. It isn't just a simple test. Bamilo is curious about him. To keep the vengeful spirit under his thumb for a while, Gil Roshan knew he'd need to prove himself, so he decided to think carefully. Zyrek Moss isn't a one-off NPC, and he knows his every move. He then told Bamilo that the Minister of the Interior is an Imperial, but his roots are Khanese. And the war between the Empire and the Khanese over the Northwestern Territories wasn't that long ago. Plus, the Khanese are close with the Revolutionary Army. He immediately remembered something. He asked Bamilo, didn't his daughter just get married? Her husband is from a local noble family in a border region. As he knows, the Empire and the Revolutionary Army are in truce, but small skirmishes are constantly happening at the border. If he's a local noble from such a place, it's one of those two things. Either he's a sworn enemy of the Revolutionary Army, or he's colluding with them. Confident, he said, the fact that he married off his daughter to create a link with the Revolutionary Army, and that the target was the great church of Eolam. Perhaps the Minister of the Interior's son-in-law is an Eolam follower or priest, maybe. Gil Roshan deemed the situation to be so far, saying to himself that he should have studied more. Bamilo was surprised. Unbelievable, he remarked, saying he never expected the third priest to be hiding such insights, which is so different from what people say about him. Gil Roshan said to himself that Bamilo looks like he's completely reassessing him, though to be exact, he's looking at Gil Roshan, his shell. Anyway, their retreat is already cut off, and Gil Roshan, who should have died, didn't. According to the story, the third Prince Gil Roshan was supposed to die 4 days ago. His survival has changed the game, so Minister Zyrek will use the strongest card he has. Gil Roshan took a pause, he thought. The closest defense forces to the Lockman Gate northeast of the capital Curtain is the Special Knights, and their commander is Marquis Elron Reut. While he was in thought, Bamilo told him that they need to shake off the pursuers and get to the gate, so it'll be tough, but he should hang in there. If they dally now and get trapped from both sides, it would really be bad. Gil Roshan told him no, that won't do, they won't be able to break through. Bamilo asked Gil Roshan what idea does he have. Gil Roshan thought to himself that he needs to find a new path, a path he has never taken even in the game, a path him as Gil Roshan and Gil Roshan must take. Bamilo told Gil Roshan to listen. Eolam's command was to safely take him to Orax, but then he got interrupted. Gil Roshan told him they should wait here for a moment. Bamilo asked what for, why should they wait? Suddenly, the mysterious guy stepped in. He asked Gil Roshan if he intends to wait for the bear and nightingale who are pursuing them. He stepped forward, tone cold. Aren't you trying to wait for your personal guards? Gil Roshan looked at him speechless, had no idea what on earth is up with the guy. Struck a nerve, did I? You've got a lock on your mouth now that you can't speak. It seems like I'd have to tear it open. He unsheathed his sword, killing intent obvious. He told Gil Roshan to answer him. His patience isn't long. Gil Roshan decided to figure out as much as he can since the guy is already talking to him. He let out a smile. Who are you? He said. He looked up. Why should I answer you if I don't even know who you are? And what do you mean by your patience isn't long? Gil Roshan laughed. What do you think the High Priest Bamilo would do? The guy was pissed by Gil Roshan's word. Gil Roshan realized the guy is surprisingly simple-minded. He stood up. He decided to tell the guy 2 things. 1, he has no intention of returning to the Imperial Palace. If he did, why would he have struggled to follow the vengeful priesthood rather than just stalling for time? 2, he's right. He's waiting for the bear and the nightingale. But there's no reason to tell him why. He doesn't even know who he is, and he can't stand punks like him. The guy immediately got angry, grabbed Gil Roshan by the collar. I saved your life, and now you don't know your place. Gil Roshan smirked. He then noticed the flower scent in the air. Bamilo stopped them. At the same time, Gil Roshan had no idea what that was just now. Bamilo and the guy both looked at each other as if they were signaling themselves. Bamilo then told Gil Roshan that Irgal, though not officially part of the church, is a comrade who shares in the great work of the revolution. Just as Gil Roshan thought, the guy was a mercenary. Player characters in God-forsaken world don't typically belong to any specific organization. In other words, they can freely travel the world like mercenaries. Plus, he has never heard of an NPC by the name Irgal. So he wonders if he's someone like him from the real world. Still with a cold tone, Irgal then told Gil Roshan to tell him why he's waiting for the bear and nightingale. The so-called bear and nightingale, it refers to Cal Cillian, a 6-star knight who shadows the 3rd Prince Gil Roshan, and Tarvan Sui, Gil Roshan's magic teacher and a 7-star witch. Irgal told the 3rd Prince to come on. He should tell them why must they wait for him here. Irgal told Bamilo they don't have time for such bullshit. They should just turn Gilroshan into a corpse right now. Gilroshan then said, "The commander of the Special Knights is Marquis Elron Reut, they should also know." Yes or no, he told them to both answer. The two were speechless. Bamilo then replied yes, he knew. How could he not know one of the Empire's 3 greatest sword masters? Gilroshan asked if he can win against him, but there was no reply. So he continued, "If we go to the gate like that, he'll kill all of us, you idiot. If they want to die, they should die alone." Gilroshan thought for a moment. Marquis Elron Reut. He reached the 9-star realm with a sword. In player terms, it makes him a super high-level NPC around level 90. He's a monster, one of the few who can be counted on the entire continent. Well, Gilroshan remarked, challenging the Marquis isn't a bad choice. That is, if he wants to disappear without leaving a corpse. As the tension thickened, Irgal turned to Gilroshan. So, just as you said, going forward from here is basically walking into death? Before Gilroshan could answer, the High Priest stepped in and asked Irgal, what is he suggesting then? If the third prince is right, and Elron, the Marquis, is guarding the gate, then even if the bear and the nightingale show up, it's hopeless, isn't it? Gilroshan glanced at Irgal. He wasn't speaking, not even a blink. Gilroshan's thoughts sharpened. He knows something. That bastard Irgal definitely knows something. Then he turned to the High Priest. There is a way, he said. If you all follow my lead, we can make it through the gates and into Orax safely. But first, Gilroshan stretched out his pinky finger, dead serious. You have to make me 2 promises. The High Priest blinked. What kind of promise needs a pinky swear? Swear it, Gilroshan said firmly. In the name of Eolim. After a beat of hesitation, the High Priest relented. He raised his hand and locked pinkies with the prince. Very well. I, Bamil, swear in the name of Eolim. I'll carry what the third prince tells me to the grave. Gilroshan smiled. Good. Then if we make it into Orax, I want one thing. The High Priest squinted. What kind of thing? Gilroshan said it like he was asking for candy. Just a pair of glasses. That's it? The High Priest asked. Yep, but they're the kind only sold in Orax. The High Priest sighed. If that's all. I swear that too. In Eolim's name. Gilroshan's face turned serious, then came the secret. He leaned in. The one they all call the Bear, the one known as Kars Cillian. He is none other than the legendary Knight of Dawn. He used to be a high-ranking knight of the Empire's Holy Order, but after the Empire fractured, he defected to the Northern 5 Kingdoms, and now commands the True Light Order. His real name is Kars Reut, not Kars Cillian. The High Priest's eyes widened. Does that mean he is the illegitimate son of Elron Reut? Gilroshan also told him that except from Elron Reut the Marquis, and Kars himself isn't aware. But as all this dropped like thunder, Irgal just stood there, unflinching, unbothered, unsurprised. Gilroshan glanced at him, just as I thought. That smug bastard knows all of this already. If he's really from the same reality as me, then he's probably figured out who I am too. Since the third prince, who was supposed to be dead, isn't dead. But how much does Irgal actually know about this game? Before he could dig deeper, boom! A violent explosion echoed from the distance. Gilroshan's eyes shot wide. No, that can only be one person. Back at the Vengeance Priest's camp, it was already chaos. Master Rui had arrived, and she was not happy. Flames spiraled beneath her feet as a magic circle expanded around her. Beside her, Kars stood firm, sword in hand. Bastards, he barked. You dare kidnap the third prince? Release him now and step down. A few Vengeance Priests exchanged confused glances. Technically, yeah, they did kidnap him, one whispered. But now, the prince kind of follows them willingly. How do they even explain that to Kars and Master Rui? Meanwhile, Gilroshan was sprinting at full speed, heart pounding. He said to himself that he left markings along the trail for Kars to follow. But he didn't expect them to show up this fast. If Master Rui gets serious, she won't hold back. And if the Vengeance Priests respond in kind, this is going to turn into a bloodbath. Back to the standoff. Master Rui's aura blazed. She took one slow step forward. I won't ask again, she said. Where's my student? A nervous priest raised his hands, trying to calm the situation. Please, wait, just a moment. Silence! Her voice cracked like thunder. You dare abduct my disciple, then tell me to wait. I'll reduce this camp to ash and retrieve him myself. The temperature surged. The Vengeance Priests, hardened warriors, were sweating buckets now, not from fear, from literal flames. Please, one of them shouted. Help! Someone stop her. And that's where we leave it. Flames rising, magic about to erupt. misunderstandings seconds away from becoming a war. And Gilrushan? Still sprinting like a man who's late to his own funeral. In the nick of time, just before Master Rui turned the entire priest camp into a crater, Gilrushan burst onto the scene. "Master," he called out, waving his hands frantically. "Wait, please, give me 1 minute, let me explain." The flames beneath Master Rui's feet flickered as she turned. And then, she really saw him. Not the chubby, sulking, soft third prince she once knew. No. This was someone leaner, sharper, almost unrecognizable. Cars blinked. That's not possible." Master Rui's eyes widened. Who the hell? And then it hit them. Wait, this is the third prince? Cars was already sweating bullets. "Your Highness? What did they do to you? What the hell did these rebel scumbags do to make you look like this?" Two of the vengeance priests looked at each other nervously. "I mean, we didn't really do anything, right? Bro, he just started walking with us one day. We're as confused as you are." Gilrushan raised both hands and tried to calm the storm. He told them that he wasn't kidnapped. Master Rui narrowed her eyes. "What did you just say?" Gilrushan scratched the back of his head. "I mean, I was kidnapped, technically, but not anymore." Master Rui gritted her teeth. "You little shit. I went through hell to save your spoiled royal ass, and this is what I get. What the hell is wrong with you?" She stormed forward, shouting like a drunken uncle at a wedding. "Shut up and stand still, you ungrateful brat. I'm about to turn these rebel priests into charcoal." Gilrushan was already sweating buckets. He said inwardly that this lady, she's not human. Is she really a witch, or just a foul-mouthed demon in disguise? In the world of Sheenverse, she was known as Tirvan Sui, the Crimson Shadow, a witch produced by the Five-Colored Spires, a high temple of elite magic. Rumors said she was over 200 years old, bathed in virgin blood, and cursed entire cities with a finger. But Gilrushan knew the truth. She was just 19, and definitely not a virgin. Maybe that's why her spells hit harder. While she kept screaming like a medieval drill sergeant, Kars gently tapped her shoulder. "Master Rui, calm down." She turned toward him and froze. "Yes, of course," she said, instantly flustered. "Let's hear them out." Gilrushan blinked. This woman went from "you bastard" to "yes, sir" in 2 seconds. All it took was a handsome guy. This lady is hopeless. After the storm, the fire died down. The tension eased. Gilrushan stood between his master and Kars and finally spoke. "I'm going to Orax." Everything stopped again. Master Rui stared at him like he just admitted to licking dungeon slime. "You've gone mad," Kars shouted. "Do you have any idea what that place is? That's enemy territory, a revolutionary stronghold. You'll be cut down before you reach the gates." But Gilrushan didn't flinch. He said he know what they're thinking, that he's being reckless, that he've lost it, but this isn't some blind gamble. This is his decision, his only path. His survival and his fate lie in Orax. He turned slowly and walked forward. "This is an order from your prince." Kars fell silent. Master Rui stared, speechless. "I'm sorry," Gilrushan continued. He said he know Master Rui may have thought he abandoned magic, that he gave up on becoming an artisan, but he never let go of it. Then he bowed. "To my master, I ask your forgiveness. I know I've disappointed you, but I swear, one day, I will acquire the multicolored lights." The moment he said it, Master Rui's eyes widened. The multicolored lights. It was a phrase she hadn't heard in years. Not from modern magicians, not from the devout academies, not even whispered. In Sheenverse, the multicolored lights were legendary, said to be the essence of true, complete magic. A phrase passed down quietly within the multicolored tower, where Rui herself had trained. Even most artisans today don't know that name. But Gilrushan, he knows it? She looked at him, stunned. He's always avoided eye contact. He was never serious, never focused. But just now, his gaze. Just now, he felt like someone walking toward something greater. He had no talent for magic, so he acted like he didn't care for it. Gilrushan, the third prince, played the fool flawlessly. Inside the palace he kept up the act, lazy, clueless, unmotivated. But in truth, he had been craving magic all this time, secretly, desperately, stubbornly. And now, he'd finally let it show. Master Rui stared at him in silence. She wondered what the hell she herself had been doing these past 5 years. She never noticed his talent, his will, or his resolve. She sighed quietly and said she failed him as his master. Gilrushan looked at her and Kars, then made his request. He said he want both of them to stay with him. Master Rui gave a short nod. "Fine. I will." "Wait, what?" Gilrushan blinked. Just like that? She smiled faintly. Well, as the fallen master of the reckless third prince, now that her students found his path, isn't it her job to trust him? She turned slightly, smirking. Besides, who knows, maybe he'll make her master of the five-colored tower one day, but she wasn't the problem, Cillian was. He's a perfect principlist, the kind of knight who wouldn't compromise, even if the world burned around him. His only goal is to return the prince to the palace, Rui thought grimly. Even if His Highness commands otherwise, he'll refuse. He'll say something like, "Please forgive my disloyalty. I'll drag him back by force if I must." But then, Kars began to tremble. Tears filled his eyes. "Your Highness," he whispered, "you really said those words." He dropped to one knee. "I, Cillian, your blade, will walk the path you choose. And if any dares oppose it, they shall be broken by the sword of Cillian." He wept openly, and wouldn't stop. Master Rui blinked, speechless. Is this loyalty or is this obsession? She can't tell if she should feel touched or disgusted. Gilrashan just gave a small smile. Good, he's with us now. Meanwhile, back at the palace. In the war chamber, Marquise Elron Reut stood thinking nothing but thoughts. News had come. The third prince was still alive. Reut sighed heavily. Troublesome boy. Just then, Lord Pellet stepped forward and said, "Captain, we've confirmed traces of the fugitives, but they're clever. They're causing chaos on every route." The Marquis clenched his jaw and said, "Gilrashan is useless, and Kars, the Marquis' son. That child should have lived as a slave under imperial law. But he fought, cleaned his bloodline, gave him purpose, sent him to the Cillian family to be raised properly. And what do? Make him the bodyguard of the Empire's most reckless prince. And now they vanish together? Kidnapped?" His fists curled. The longer Kars remains by Gilrashan's side, the worse his evaluation becomes. He yelled inwardly that Kars is one of the Empire's top prospects, and that damn prince is ruining him. He slammed his palm against the desk. If the prince is eliminated, he'll reassign Kars to the Imperial Knights immediately. Just then, Pellet spoke up again. "Captain, what if Sir Kars and Master Rui find His Highness first?" The Marquis turned. "Rui? The seven-star witch? Yes. Though her poison fire magic isn't suited for pursuit. It's unlikely." The Marquis chuckled darkly. "Then the heavens favor us." He stood and gave his orders. "Block all escape routes. Annihilate the kidnappers. No negotiation. Even if hostages are involved, eliminate the enemy." Pellet saluted. "Understood, Captain." The orders spread and knights moved like shadows. As the chamber emptied, the Marquis stood alone. His eyes burned cold. Then he said to himself that, with this strategy, the special task knights will no longer concern themselves with the prince's safety. They'll focus on killing the rebels, no matter what, even if blood soaks the ground. While Gilrashan was thinking, he was suddenly interrupted by Kars, which frightened him. Kars asked what is he thinking so deeply about, and why is he with a sword? Gilrashan told him he need to use it for something. By the way, Kars told Gilrashan that his face looks slimmer than before. He looked good now. Gilrashan told him he should try climbing mountains with those scary old men like a lunatic. Just surviving it is a miracle. Well, anyway, Kars commented, you didn't die. Gilrashan was surprised. He had no idea what's wrong with Kars. Why is he acting like this? Kars's expression darkened. He told Gilrashan that he couldn't possibly know how he felt chasing after him all the way here. If something or anything had happened to him, he won't be able to forgive himself. Gilrashan thought to himself that Kars in the original story, Gilrashan and Kars were like brothers. They were distant relatives who grew up together, so it makes sense that Kars was worried. Though he may not be Gilrashan, but still, Kars makes him genuinely happy. Because he's none other than his charge captain, Kars Loit. Kars is a solid tanker, worthy of the grand title, Knight of Dawn. If raised properly, he would perform excellently even in the endgame. He used to bring him everywhere, but meeting him like this as a real living person is like running into an old school friend he was really close with. Sui arrived on scene. While stretching, she asked Gilrashan if he had a good sleep. Gilrashan didn't reply immediately, still saying to himself that compared to that, Sui was difficult to recruit, so he didn't use her as much as Kars. Maybe that's why, or maybe part of Gilrashan's emotions still remain. Kars asked Lady Sui if she had a good sleep. Sui replied with a loving tone. Yes. Kars told her to please she should come sit beside him since he was talking with His Highness. Blushing, she told Kars she'd go wash up first and then she'll come sit down. Gilrashan felt glad to see them, but there's a dull ache in his chest, like he's seeing someone he owes something to. As Sui left, Kars told Gilroshan that he looks sharper now, and somehow full of energy, which makes him happy. It feels like they've gone back to the old days, back to when they were in the Royal Academy. Gilroshan thought about the Royal Academy. It was basically a school for the children of the Empire's high nobility. Kars told him he was so brilliant back then, all the palace staff adored him, even the Emperor cherished him. Gilroshan was surprised by this info. He never expected the third prince, the real Gilroshan, to be normal as a kid, which wasn't in the game or the novel. Speechless for a moment, Kars added with a sad tone, "What would have happened if their Vault Empire hadn't worshipped magic so much? If magic hadn't been treated like an essential skill for everyone, then things surely would have been different, even for him, the third prince." Gilroshan deemed what he said to make sense. Being a prince of a magical empire yet having no magic talent at all is a shame. And not just any prince, he's the one whom everyone had high hopes for. He must have felt deeply abandoned when all those people left as he grew older. Still though, that's not his past, but that of the original Gilroshan. He then told Kars in a calm tone not to dwell too much on the past. What kind of child he was back then doesn't matter anymore. No one remembers the third prince from the Royal Academy days anymore, no one but him, Kars. So, they should focus on now, Kars agreed. Smile came back to his face. Gilroshan smiled slightly, saying luckily, people don't recognize him. He then said to himself that he's more confident than anyone when it comes to mastering the god-forsaken world. So it doesn't matter if he's a trash prince with a trash character, he's not leaving things as it is. It doesn't matter if he doesn't have magic talent, he'll do without it. Instead of becoming a transcendent great magician, he became an F-class slave gladiator, but there will always be another chance. He patted Kars's shoulder, telling him to just remember one thing. He'll prove he deserved to survive and make it back. And when he returned to the Empire, no one will dare look down on him, nor his friend. So he told Kars to hold his head high. Kars agreed, then sarcastically said his posture is always perfect though, so there's no need to hold his head high. Though he was joking. Minutes later, Sui returned after taking her shower, still wearing the same dirty clothes. Now that she has arrived, he decided to explain the plan moving forward. He recalled telling Kars about the reason why he can't return to the imperial capital. He then asked Kars if he knows that the Marquis Elon Loit is in the northern capital. Kars replied yes, the Marquis is his father's close friend and one of the Empire's 3 swordmasters. Kars took a pause, surprised as he realized where Gilroshan was headed with the conversation. Gilroshan told him though he knows Marquis Loit is a loyal soldier and an honorable warrior, he's not the traitor. The problem is he's currently blocking the gate, and he'll probably wipe out the assassins and drag him back to the palace. Kars asked what will they do then? Will he try to persuade the Marquis the way he did with him and Lady Sui? Gilroshan told Kars that's not possible, since there's no way he'd listen to him, then asked Kars what he think. Kars told Gilroshan he don't want to disappoint him, but it won't work. The inquisitorial priests will be wiped out instantly, and they'll all be dragged to the palace. Gilroshan told Kars he's not disappointed, so he should not worry. Kars's expression brightened. He asked Gilroshan if he has another plan. Gilroshan replied yes. Curious, they both asked what it was. Gilroshan raised his sword. The method is right here, he'll beat the Marquis and pass through. There's no other way. The two were both dumbfounded. Kars then worriedly asked Gilroshan if he's feeling unwell since he's still human. Even Sui was worried, saying it seems like he haven't come to his senses, why don't he just go home and rest? Kars touched his body, examining it. Gilroshan couldn't do anything himself. He wondered why are both of them so impatient. He then shouted out, saying they're both going too far, can't they at least hear how he'll fight the Marquis first? Kars shouted out, who's the one going far, what the heck are they supposed to do to the commander? Sui agreed they wouldn't be able to do anything to him, if only she had taken interstellar and magic earlier. Gilroshan said to himself that he get why they're completely dismissing him. In godforsaken worlds, stat gains from leveling aren't huge, and the opponent is an NPC who can't benefit from gate cards. If they maximize counters, traps, and psychological factors, even a 6-star can beat a 9-star. But the issue is that he's not even a 6-star, he's a level 0 scrub. Sui then told Gilroshan to tell them how exactly does he plan to defeat the Marquis. He told them he'd invoke a noble duel with the Marquis and knock the sword from his hands, simple as that. Kars's expression darkened, told Gilroshan, it's absolutely impossible. Noble duel is a conditional match, a long-standing 1v1 duel method under Vault Empire law and noble tradition. Set conditions for the duel, and everything including rules and victory is decided by agreement of both parties and the witness. Gilroshan told them that's why he need to set the rules so it becomes possible. First, Kars would be the witness. Kars asked what kind of rules is he planning. The commander won't accept it if they're too weird, and if it was to endanger him, Gilrashan, he won't accept it either. Gilrashan told them he'd propose 3 conditions to the Marquis. First, swordsmanship only. Second, drop your sword and you lose instantly. Third, no armor allowed. Hearing this, Kars immediately disagreed. He told Gilrashan those rules don't help him at all. First condition, swordsmanship only might seem advantageous since he lack magic, but it's not. The commander is already the strongest swordsman. The second condition is too obvious. The weaker one is more likely to drop their weapon, and no armor is a condition that he absolutely can't accept since it risks his safety. His expression darkened. A duel is no joke. No one is held accountable for what happens, not even if it's a prince. So he absolutely cannot serve as witness with those terms. Absolutely not. Gilrashan told him not to worry. His life won't be in danger. Kars asked how can he be so sure. Gilrashan replied. He asked Kars if he's the one who have trained in swordsmanship for 50 years and become a swordmaster. One day, a rookie challenges him. That rookie is a prince, and he's a marquis. With those conditions, how would he react? Kars thought for a moment. He then said he'd think it's absurd and funny. He wouldn't go all out against a rookie, and if he accidentally injured a prince, it'd be a hassle. So he'd probably go easy and just knock his sword away. Gilrashan told him exactly. That's why he added the no armor rule. He'll be cautious. So in short, there's no way he'll kill him. Though, sure, he might want to. Gilrashan was confident because the witness is Kars. In front of his precious son, there's no way he would harm his lord. Kars was kinda curious. He asked Gilrashan why would the commander hate him. Gilrashan immediately decided to make up a lie since Kars's father would kill him for Kars's future, but he can't exactly say that out loud. Gilrashan stuttered, laughed with pretense, then told Kars there's some bad blood between him and the Marquess. Kars still don't understand what he meant. Gilrashan told him it's complicated. By the way, Sui asked Gilrashan where the priest squad went to since she haven't seen them today. Gilrashan told her he asked them for a favor. Now somewhere within the mountain range. The goblin who was tied down was dumbfounded to see the priest squad who captured them arguing. One saying Sir Gilrashan would like the goblin he caught, the other disagreed. Bamilo arrived on scene, carrying a bigger goblin. He saw the priest arguing. One of the priests asked Bamilo what about the people the goblins had captured. Bamilo told him he sent them back to their village, told them it was God Eolam's will, and that they should give thanks to the god. Anyway, they have caught enough, so the preparations should be complete, so he told them to go fetch the third prince, Gilrashan. The priests all argued who'll be the one to go call the prince, but then, Bamilo told them that although he may be the future apostle, until the archbishop confirms it, they can't be sure. For now, he's still a prince from an enemy nation, so until it's certain, they must be careful not to grow too attached. He then told Irgal to go fetch Gilrashan. Irgal agreed, and as he left, he deemed this to be the perfect opportunity to figure out what Gilrashan's planning, and he might act depending on how things go. Gilrashan told them that things should be wrapping up now, so they should talk while moving to the next mission. Master Rui blinked. Wrap up what? Gilrashan shrugged. Then he told her that he sent the vengeance priests to clean out the nearby goblin village. They should be done by now. Kars and Master Rui exchanged glances, the kind of look that says, did he just outsource an entire raid while strolling? Gilrashan then added, but of course, the final blow should be dealt by him, the third prince, in the haunting ground. The haunting ground wasn't your beginner dungeon. No, it was a foggy, cursed, goblin-infested hellhole, the kind of place where even seasoned warriors got stabbed in the butt by gremlins with attitude. As they walked, Gilrashan began explaining his next plan. His so-called trump card was that he knew the Marquis' weakness. Kars snorted, please. I know Captain Gromhart's weakness too. Apparently Elron Reut, the Marquis, had poor synergy between his swordsmanship and magic. Master Rui chimed in, saying she heard the same rumor, that the Marquis' magical output was weaker than most swordmasters. But Gilrashan corrected them. That's only true compared to other elites. His real issue is his right shoulder. It's paralyzed. Yes, in this cursed world, Marquis Elron Reut, a walking war crime of a man, shows up with a mysteriously paralyzed right arm. Why? Nobody knew. But Gilrashan did. When asked how he knew such critical information, Gilrashan straight up lied and said he overheard a conversation between the Emperor and the captain of the Imperial Knights. Master Rui nodded seriously. If he heard it from them, then it must be accurate. Then it clicked. The Marquis couldn't use vanguard swordsmanship. the signature two-handed technique of the Reut family, which amplified attack damage by 20% when paired with the famous sword howl blade. Master Rui then said that fortunately, if the Marquis can't use his ultimate skill, then Gil Roshan might be able to defeat him in a duel. But Kars, ever the buzzkill, said, "Still, a swordmaster is a swordmaster. Even with one hand, Gromhart could kill you 10 times over." Gil Roshan sighed. Is this guy seriously on my side or the Marquis? He even voiced it aloud. Yeah, you're right. But I also know which one-handed technique the Marquis uses. Master Rui and Kars stared. Wait, he know that too? Gil Roshan grinned. If the mission is just to make him drop his sword during the duel, there's still a chance. And just as things were getting hopeful, someone crawled out of the shadows, a masked man. It was Irgol. The guy didn't even announce himself. He just walked up like some edgy narrator and asked, "Do you really think that little plan is enough to make the Marquis drop his sword?" Gil Roshan blinked. This mysterious guy again. Since when was he even here? Irgol ignored him. Do you even have the strength to take one hit from him, or are you just bluffing, Your Highness? Gil Roshan scratched the back of his head. He agreed that with his current strength, yeah, he'd probably explode on contact. But that's when he revealed his secret. He planned to use the Elixir of Strength, a consumable that can give him a temporary power boost. Irgol, of course, read him like a book. So he's planning to take down the king of the Lockman Mountains, also known as Gromhart. This red-skinned goblin warlord wasn't your average monster. He was a nightmare in armor. Gil Roshan admitted it. Yeah, I know I can't win alone, but if we do our part here, someone will come to help us. He remembered when he first arrived at the mountains. The goblins looked so real, not like in games. Killing them felt wrong at first, but now, he had no choice. This world didn't care about morals, it cared about EXP. So, he sliced them down. Blood splattered across the HUD and the system lit up. You've leveled up. Gil Roshan felt it. A warm glow of fulfillment bubbling up. Skill point gained. 1. Skill tree unlocked. He was surprised to see that he gained 2 points from starting bonus, 1 from leveling up, that's 3 in total. He quickly dumped his points and learned Vagabond Martial Arts. The system flashed again, rough fighting style uploaded, strength and stamina plus 1%. As Gil Roshan kept slaying goblins, he thought to himself, to learn the sword skill he needed to fight the Marquis, he had to reach level 9. Now he's currently at level 1, a long way to go. But he kept at it. Level. Soon enough he unlocked more points and dumped 4 skill points in total. Then, something changed. Kars looked at him. Your aura feels different. Master Rui agreed. He's changed. Then she narrowed her eyes and asked, wait a minute. Did he sneak something good without telling them? Gil Roshan gave a dry laugh. Yeah. The Vengeance Priests cooked something strong for him. Rui stepped forward like a disappointed mom. Where is it? Give us some too. But Gil Roshan replied that there's nothing left. He ate them all. Master Rui exploded. You greedy pig. Did you think of your old master at all, you ungrateful brat, stuffing your mouth like a starving boar? Gil Roshan sighed. She's literally 19 and acting like my grandma. Maybe she needs a chill pill. Before the argument escalated, the High Priest of the Vengeance Order came forward. Your Highness, what now? Gil Roshan told them there were likely some goblin stragglers nearby. He instructed the Vengeance Priests to drive them forward, just enough for manageable combat, not a damn horde. But the Vengeance Priests had other plans. Soon, Kars warned, they're coming. Gil Roshan looked up, and what he saw was not manageable. A few goblins would have been enough. Who told these idiots to drag in a whole goblin clan? Before he could complain more, a massive barrage of flames incinerated a chunk of the oncoming horde. Gil Roshan turned toward the source, and locked eyes to see who it was. The burst of flames that saved them. Yeah, that wasn't divine intervention, it was Master Rui. Gil Roshan looked up, recognizing the fiery magic signature, but Master Rui turned her head with a scowl. She didn't want him to know. Girl was still mad about the whole ate everything without sharing thing. Kars tapped Gil Roshan's shoulder. Your Highness, focus. Before Gil Roshan could respond, a goblin launched from the tree line, snarling midair, teeth out, blade raised. Gil Roshan blocked just in time, steel clashing against the monster's crude weapon, and for a second, he felt it. That strength. How the hell is something that small hitting this hard? He thought. What are they feeding these things? Rage pellets? Still, thanks to the gladiator slave card he used earlier, the sword no longer felt foreign in his hands. Then it happened, just like the game. A red hit point marker flared across the goblin's chest. Gil Roshan didn't hesitate. Bang, blade met flesh. Goblin fell. Gil Roshan grinned. Ha, not as hard as I thought. One down, many to go. As the sun set, the slaughter continued. Goblin after goblin, slash, parry, stab, level up. But fatigue set in. Gilroshan collapsed against a tree, chest rising fast. Suddenly the system pinged. Skill activated, taste for pain. Mental and physical recovery massively boosted for 30 seconds. He wiped the sweat from his forehead as night finally fell. The vengeance priests approached, visibly exhausted. One asked, "Your Highness, perhaps we should stop here for today?" Kars agreed, practically wheezing. Even his bones are tired, and he's still standing somehow. Gilroshan shrugged. All right. Let's call it a day. Time to head back and enjoy some of those revolutionary solo drinks. The priest order exploded in cheers. Thank you, Prince Gilroshan. Soon they made camp. Fire crackling, goblet in hand, stories flowing. One priest stood up dramatically. Did I ever tell you about the time I ran into a massive orc? Gilroshan pointed at him. Shut it, that story's fake. You said that last week. You described the orc as having glowing eyes. The priest shrugged, took a sip, and sat down, defeated. But the good vibes didn't last. From the shadows, Lord Pellet and his special task force observed them silently. His second-in-command whispered, "Captain, should we eliminate them now?" Pellet didn't answer. His eyes squinted, trying to make sense of the absurdity before him. The prince was drinking. The vengeance priests were relaxed. No one had even tried to cover their tracks. They lit a giant fire, used regular charcoal, no concealment spell. No military formation, nothing. Pellet's brain short-circuited. This has to be a trap, there's no way they're this stupid. But then he remembered. The mission was to eliminate the kidnappers of the third prince. Yet here was the prince, laughing, pouring drinks, arguing about goblin meat recipes. What the hell is this? He decided to approach. As he stepped out, the camp fell silent. The priests looked up, startled. Kars and Master Rui rose immediately, eyes alert. Gilroshan stood and casually waved. "Oh, Lord Pellet, you're here." Pellet gave a curt nod. "Your Highness, I'm relieved to see you safe." Before Gilroshan could respond with pleasantries, Pellet turned to Kars, expression stone cold. "What is going on here?" he demanded. "You, Master Rui, His Highness, are you betraying the Empire?" Kars stayed calm. That question should be answered by His Highness himself. But then he smiled and added, "Although, Captain, shouldn't you offer a proper greeting to the prince first?" Master Rui nodded sharply. "Indeed, you don't get to accuse royalty before saying hello." Gilroshan chuckled internally. "These guys really got my back, huh?" Pellet sighed through gritted teeth. Then, reluctantly, he dropped to one knee. "I, Baron Pellet, Deputy Commander of the Special Task Force, greet Third Prince of the Great Vault Empire." Gilroshan waved. "That's enough. You may rise." Then he turned to Kars and Master Rui, telling them to give him a moment alone with Lord Pellet. They nodded and stepped aside. Gilroshan folded his arms. "So, let me guess what you're thinking. You think the past few days were suspicious? That the vengeance priests didn't cover their tracks, didn't act like kidnappers, and didn't cause confusion?" Pellet didn't deny it. Gilroshan continued, "And you're right, because they were never his enemies. He asked them to act that way." Pellet blinked. "You what?" "I've been waiting for you," Gilroshan said. Pellet's confusion turned to shock. "Why?" Gilroshan replied that it's because he need to go to Orax, and to get there he must meet Pellet's superior, the Marquis. Pellet's face turned pale, like a man who just watched his retirement plan go up in flames. Gilroshan gave him a half-smile. "Don't look at me like I'm insane. I know what I'm doing." Pellet muttered under his breath. "Even madmen have limits." Then louder he said, "Forgive me, Your Highness, but are you saying you've chosen to betray the Empire?" Gilroshan gave a tired sigh. Must a prince spell everything out? He pointed to the road ahead and told Pellet that they will head to the gate. They'll speak to Marquis Vroyd directly. Then he asked Lord Pellet to tell him if anything he said was wrong. Pellet lowered his gaze. "No, you're not wrong." Gilroshan tapped him on the shoulder. "Good, then we move at dawn. But before that there's just one stop I need to make." Pellet raised an eyebrow. "Where, Your Highness?" Gilroshan turned with a smirk. "Nowhere important. Just hunting down a certain harmful beast that's been troubling the locals." Before Lord Pellet could leave, Gilroshan turned back one last time. "And, just so you know," he said, his voice cool, "whether it's under the cover of night or in broad daylight, don't even think about laying a hand on the vengeance priests." Lord Pellet blinked. "Your Highness, I never—" Gilroshan raised a hand. "Save it. You've served under Commander Elron Reut for years. That means he should understand at least some of the secrets behind Kar's origin. Pellet froze. How do you know about that? But Gilrushan just narrowed his eyes and gave a calm, chilling smile. Let tonight slide, Lord Pellet. No more questions. No more talking. Keep it nice and quiet, yeah? Pellet gave a tight nod. He'd seen many things in war, but this new version of the Third Prince was starting to unnerve him. As Gilrushan walked away, he added one final instruction. Return with your men. At dawn, Pellet stood there for a long moment, watching his back disappear into the dark. Is this really the same notorious Third Prince? He muttered. Either the rumors were wrong, or he's completely lost his damn mind. The next morning, outside, morning dew still clung to the trees. Gilrushan stood alone, his sword flashing through the air as he practiced. He murmured to himself, the sword-style Marquis Rot uses with his paralyzed shoulder. It's none other than Trafalgar swordsmanship, passed down from the old knights of the Luxon Kingdom. Trafalgar style focused on flowing defense and fluid follow-ups. It wasn't weapon-dependent, it could adapt to any blade. They said a knight's sword was like a lover. But to the Marquis, it was his entire identity. Rorian, his signature sword, was no ordinary weapon. A forged ergo blade with 3 rotating wheels. Deadly, elegant, and bound to its master. Suddenly, the system pinged. You've learned Nomadic Crushing Sword. The swordmanship is grade C, and the special skill is locked. Just then, the system informed him that he has unlocked basic swordsmanship. Gilrushan smirked. He was filled with joy, he exclaimed. Finally, a basic sword technique. He muttered to himself, so, Trafalgar is grade B. This nomadic crushing technique is only grade C on paper, but... He began testing it out. Crushing swordsmanship relied on overwhelming weight, raw power, and relentless pressure. But flowing swordsmanship, like Trafalgar, relied on gentle redirection and elegant soft counters. In this world, also known as Sheenverse, all styles followed a rock-paper-scissors logic. The difference in grade didn't matter much if the matchup favored you. He grinned. This could work. Gilrushan recalled the story of the Luxon Kingdom, a vassal of the Empire. In their arrogance, they had treated the nomads like dirt, like expendable tools. In response, the united tribes nearly brought the kingdom to ruin. Though the nomads fell in the end, their sword style survived, forged with one purpose, to shatter noble swordplay like Trafalgar. Gilrushan's thoughts were interrupted as cars approached. The troops are assembled, Gilrushan nodded. I'm on my way, but as he walked, he whispered to himself, this nomadic crushing swordsmanship may be grade C for now, but its potential is only beginning to awaken. Meanwhile, the Vengeance Priests and the Special Task Force had gathered, but the air was electric, not in a good way. Their eyes clashed like blades, glares flew like daggers. You'd think the real war was between the troops, not the monster. These two factions, oil and fire, they did not get along. And in the middle, our guy, Gilrushan, trying to explain the mission. He laid out the plan, rather than one big flashy hit, keep stacking smaller wounds. That's the key. He asked if everyone understood what he just said. The Vengeance Priests finally cut in. Your Highness, we heard you the first 10 times. Really? Lord Pellet added, yes. We understand. Gilrushan sighed. No, you don't. You're all just staring at each other like you're about to duel over who gets the last potato chip. Truth was, this whole situation felt off. Gilrushan originally planned to sit the whole thing out, let Irgal handle the operation. But Irgal read him like a book. I'm coming with you, he said coldly. Let's not pretend they'll listen to me without you. Gilrushan chuckled. Thought so. Then he turned and told Kars to punch him. Kars blinked. What? Gilrushan repeated, hit me, hard, loud. I need to get their attention. Kars hesitated. Your Highness, I can't hit the Prince of the Empire. It's fine, Gilrushan growled. Do it. With the groups watching, tension rising, Kars finally raised a fist and, smack. The sound echoed. The tension broke. They all looked to the direction of the prince. With face red, Gilrushan stepped forward. I, Gilrushan Elodevalt, will now take direct command. His voice turned hard, commanding. Once we enter that dungeon, no politics, no hesitation. You follow my orders, or no one is making it out alive. Everyone went quiet. He continued, Gromhart, king of the Lockman Mountains, is not some petty beast. Whether you're vengeance priests or task force soldiers, if you disobey, you die. Lord Pellet sighed deeply. Didn't he say this was a simple monster hunt? Since when did it escalate to a boss raid on Gromhart? Gilrushan gave him a devilish smile. Did I forget to mention that? My bad. Pellet face-palmed, but before anyone could whine more, Gilroshan turned. Enough talk. Move in. Inside the dungeon, there was bones, skulls, shattered weapons, thousands of them scattered across the stone floor. At the center, he lay, Gromhart. The beast stirred, his massive form rising. A twisted war axe the size of a cart rested at his side. He sniffed the air and said in his monster language, "Fresh meat." He grinned, lips peeling back over jagged teeth. "They brought the meal to me this time." Gromhart grabbed his armor, then his axe. He stood tall, a demon among men. Lord Pellet choked as he looked around. All these bones, these were people. He clenched his fists. There's no doubt. The monsters of this mountain were fed villagers, as tribute. And we, the Special Task Force, didn't even know. We let it go this far. Now we're forced to clean it up, with the help of so-called rebel priests. He turned to his men. From this moment on, even if they all die here, they will avenge those fallen villagers. Then he shouted, "Form up! Let's end this monster!" The knights replied, "Yes, sir," and they all lunged and attacked towards Gromhart. The rough-edged leader of the Vengeance Priests scowled as he watched the Special Task Force go all in. "These damn flashy knights," he muttered. "They're overextending more than they can shield." He spat to the side and growled to his men, "Forget them. Revenge belongs to us. Begin the assault." And just like that, two elite forces with zero chemistry launched their attack on Gromhart, the king of the Lockman Mountains. The first man to charge, poor soul, lunged forward with courage and zero survival instincts. Boom. Gromhart parried him like a bug and sent the guy flying. Not falling, flying. But midair, Lord Pellet took the opening, leaping high to slash at Gromhart's eye. No effect. None. Nada. Zilch. The eye, expected to be the weak point, was as hard as stone, just like His Highness warned, Pellet hissed. Even the eyes are impenetrable. He twisted in midair, dove behind the monster, and aimed for the arm. Same result. The shell was harder than steel. He shouted down to his squad, "Target the shell! Strip it away first!" "Yes, sir!" his warriors roared. Suddenly the Special Task Force swarmed from all sides, attacking the head, legs, knees, shoulders, even the damn armpits. It was like watching trained assassins mug a giant. Normally you'd call this unfair, but when your opponent is a 12-foot murder beast with a flaming war axe, this was the fairest game possible. In the chaos, Kars turned to Gilroshan with a smirk. As expected of the task force, their swordplay is elite, Master Rui agreed. Not just their blades. Their agility rivals the priesthood. Gilroshan nodded. They're knights, sure, but they're trained for covert ops. No matter how tough the mission, they're the Empire's first pick, but Gromhart is still only in a weakened state. Gilroshan said to himself that Gromhart's Stage 1 is easy to manage if you have agile damage per second unit, and this lineup is basically optimized. Right now the monster is falling, but the problem starts when Phase 2 begins, and Gromhart stands back up. Gilroshan then turned to Master Rui and told her to begin preparing her magic, which she replied, of course. Meanwhile, Gromhart was getting pressed, cornered by two elite groups, both attacking relentlessly. But then, something shifted. The monster roared, voice thunderous. "Disgusting insects!" The earth trembled. Gromhart, now officially pissed, began to glow with rage. Phase 2 had begun. Just as he raised his axe, Gilroshan shouted, "Everyone, fall back." They reacted instantly, all but one. The last man, still trying to stab Gromhart's calf, looked up too late. Boom. The axe slammed down, unleashing a massive shockwave that shattered stone, trees, and several brave egos. Gilroshan turned to Master Rui. "Now." She nodded that she's ready, and bang. A wave of massive fire magic exploded across Gromhart's body, engulfing him in blazing heat. He roared in pain as his armor burned away, red-hot and cracking. But when the fire cleared, he still stood, burnt, yes, but alive, and now shieldless, and madder than ever. He locked onto Master Rui. She's the threat. He began to charge at her. Master Rui froze. Sweat dripped down her face. Her body, it's not moving. For the first time, she felt fear. But just before Gromhart reached her, one of the Vengeance Priests dove in and slashed at the monster's shoulder, diverting him. Others followed. Suddenly, coordinated attacks came from all directions. The monster was overwhelmed, confused, flailing. Gilroshan smirked. "Nice. That's more like it." But Phase 2 came with a price. Gromhart now had high resistance to physical damage, strong natural healing. Sword strikes? Practically useless now. Back when Gilroshan briefed them, the Vengeance leader had asked, How can that be? They can't deal damage to the monster at phase 2, not even with sword spirits? Gilrushan answered then. Imbuing swords with magic can help, but it's inefficient. Worse, it might even trigger his healing. So, how do they kill it? Elemental magic. Burn him, freeze him, shock him. That's the only way. He explained it clearly. Magic damage hurts. But swords? Useless. Master Rui, a 7-star witch, was the key. Back in the present, the teams were still attacking. The plan was working, until the High Priest got cocky. Crackling with lightning, he sprinted toward Gromhart like an action hero. This is it. He sliced the monster's leg, landed perfectly with a heroic pose, and even smiled mid-slow-mo. It's only right the monster dies to the Sword of Revolution. The Special Task Force glared. Oh hell no. Suddenly, they weren't fighting with each other. They were fighting against each other. For credit. Everyone wanted to be the one to land the finishing blow on the monster. Chaos returned. Master Rui called out, "Fall back, I'm about to cast the final spell." Nobody listened. They all wanted the glory. Rui turned to Gilrushan, exasperated. What should she do? She can't fire like this. They'll all be caught in the blast. Gilrushan stood frozen, sweating. What the hell is this? Everything was going so well. What happened? He gritted his teeth. This is bad. If this continues into phase 3, we're dead. Then he shouted, Lord Pellet, High Priest, what are you doing? Call them back. He yelled again, voice echoing. This isn't the monster's early stage anymore. If they don't pull back and use hit and run, they'll all die. The High Priest snapped to attention, barking orders to his priests. Fall back. Now. Pellet growled but obeyed. Retreat and regroup. Both groups finally began to listen, mostly to avoid getting incinerated by Master Rui. Gilrushan glared at both leaders. You idiots. Don't provoke each other here. I don't care what you believe. Work together. Then, splat. A soldier from the Special Task Force took a brutal hit. Blood sprayed. And Gromhart? He was still standing, still angry. And phase 3 was only seconds away. Another Vengeance Priest leapt into the air, spinning his blade overhead, aiming to land a critical strike from above. But Gromhart? He saw it coming. His beastly eyes tracked the priest mid-air. With terrifying speed, the monster pivoted and smashed him out of the sky, sending him crashing like a rag doll into the dirt. Bang! Another warrior charged next, shouting with reckless bravery. He didn't last a second. Gromhart swung and launched him like a missile into the nearest wall. The entire chamber shook with the impact. Boom! Silence followed, then screaming. And that's when Gilrushan froze. No. His eyes widened. This is bad. This is really bad. He stood up slowly, hands trembling. The one thing you never do in a boss raid is let your guard down. In most raids, when you've got a full power team, you read the boss pattern, react fast, coordinate. It feels easy, until the boss takes control. And if that happens, even once, the whole raid gets wiped. Gilrushan clenched his fists. These people aren't gamers. They don't get it. Everything felt too easy up till now. He looked around. Panic was setting in. And worst of all, he let his guard down too. If Gromhart enters phase 3, he couldn't finish the thought. Because in phase 3, not just his allies, but he might die too.